Bless this time, Father. Let it set somebody free and help me to be as honorable as possible. Help me to touch on the right things and let every woman and every man who hear this understand this is nothing but the unadulterated truth. Father, I thank you for February the 17th, 2008, when I wrote this lesson. And I thank you that even today, it's more applicable today than it was then. And I thank you for your shared revelation. And I thank you for returning my cognitive function. And I thank you for allowing me to have breath in my body and have my right mind. And I thank you that you have put the eye of the tiger back in me. And I thank you that your spirit roars inside with a righteous indignation. Now, Father, help me to represent you with my words, with my mouth, with my examples, and everything else, so that any person who hears what's being said will be delivered. It's revival time, the new kind. I thank you for all of this in Yeshua's name. Everybody under the sound of my voice said amen. Raising an oppressed son. Raising an oppressed son. Raising an oppressed Latino son. Raising an oppressed black son. Raising a black son. 6 black boys, oppressed boys, Latino boys are 6 times more likely to have autism. Black boys. Chronic neglect in the first 2 years brings about psychological effects on the brain. Repeat it after me, and those who are listening, those who are watching, I don't care if you're sitting there by yourself, say this with me. Chronic neglect in the first 2 years of my growing created psychological effects on the brain if I experienced it. I want you all to understand, especially they did these studies in Germany and where they had Germany and Lithuania, where they have a lot of adoption agencies and that kind of stuff. And they found out that they had so many children in the cribs that they couldn't go give them attention. And when they couldn't give them attention, the kids would shut down and the kids would lose their emotion because they didn't have connection, compassion, or attention. This message that I'm talking, I taught to women first. In fact, this will be the first time I've ever taught men this lesson, because I was trying to get the mothers to understand what was taking place in their sons. And so when a boy is ignored, mistreated, or shuffled between parents, you know what I mean? Back and forth, he got to stay with me, they go with me, I don't know, I'm coming to pick you up, fussing at the front door, whatever it is. When they are shuffled or mistreated between parents, it equals a loss of thinking capacity. What I want you to see is that a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, psychologically cannot handle that handoff back and forth, and they pick up on the drama. They pick up on the drama at 3, at 2. Here's when I knew my granddaughter was very sensitive, and I had to change immediately. Because even when she was 2 years old, she could tell that my tone was a little too assertive. And she would take my hand, and she would put her hand on my hand and put it down. And she would do that, and me and Jill would look at it. We would be in the bed, and she would do it again, and she would put it down. And wisdom said, whatever you're talking about, you got too much energy. And she's feeling that. By the time she's 3, no, she's 2, and we're going to visit her, and I raise my voice because Jill is trying to tell me what to do. Say she's trying to tell me what to do. I know what I'm doing, but she's trying to tell me what to do. And I say, hey, man, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. And she goes, Are you doing this in front of her? Really, Deron? And I looked down at her, and her little eyes is looking up at me. And the Spirit hit me so hard. And then you would think it was done. Then I go in the house. I'm on the deck, and I'm hollering into the house. And she comes to the screen. Stop yelling. Lower your voice. No fussing. And that time I wasn't even fussing. I was just talking. But God was saying, tone, energy. Now, why would I respond to my wife with such madness at times, such rage? Why would we respond to the people we make love to with such disdain at times? I see you, my brothers in ATL too. Rejection of a boy equals an increase of cortisol and adrenaline. So if you are rejected, you're going to have a higher dosage of adrenaline in your bloodstream. Why? Because you're going to have to constantly go into survival mode to take care of yourself. Now, you don't know this, but this is what's happening. And so rejection means it affects a part of my brain that responds. Now, listen to this. Because my wife would say, you act like you don't care. Sometimes she say, you act like you don't give an S. That was a long time ago. And it could have been last week, too. You act like you don't care. You just don't give it. And I'd be looking at her like your dog look like you, huh? What you mean? Well, what it means is this. If you go through rejection long enough, if you had a mother that was on drugs, a father that was on drugs, a parent that was missing, someone that was out of sync, someone that had their own mental issues or whatever going on, rejection on you is going to cause the part of your brain that's responsible for empathy and compassion to not be able to feel. Because you have to learn, don't feel. Because if you feel, you're going to cry. And if you cry, Mitches don't cry. No, Mitches cry. Are y'all following me? I'm just not saying the word. Mitches cry, and you be called a Mitch. You're being called a, why are you acting like a little Mitch? Because you felt. Why are you acting like a little Mitch? Your feelings was hurt. Which turns into you can't feel as an adult. What is killed in your feeling as a child means you end up not being able to feel as an adult. Without a physical father, we ended up with TV fathers. We ended up with TV teaching us about sex. I'll never forget, around here somewhere, I went to one of these clubs. The brother owned the club, and I was coming out of the building. Our building was next to him, and I walked to his car to see him say, hey, man, how you doing? He had porno playing right there on his TV in his car. And you would think that he would turn it off because he knew I was a pastor. He didn't give a darn. Didn't turn it down or nothing. He's dead today. I don't think that had anything to do with it, but I'm trying to tell you, you got to be careful to be able to position yourself so that you can feel, because when you feel, you can make the right choices. Am I making sense? And so now we end up being taught about sex through porno, taught about sex through violence. If you like a whole bunch of action movies, I told this one brother, why are you watching that movie with your daughter, man? I'm just trying to teach her so she understands. No, dude, you lying to yourself. That's what I should have told him then. You trying to get entertainment and you don't want to sacrifice. And so now you think you discipling her on violence, but you scaring the hell out of her and putting hell in her so you can be entertained. So if you ain't, when you're an oppressed son and you're being raised and you got to look at whatever you wanted to look at, TV fathers plus teach us sex plus violence and then apathy. Say apathy. Apathy means that you know the good to do, but you won't do it. Apathy means that you want to move, but you don't have the ability to motivate yourself because this drama that you've been in for most of your life has caused you not to care. Cornel West said, the streets breed a mean-spirited, cold-hearted, non-feeling person because they can't connect. And then once you get this apathy, this is what most women can't stand, you're passive-aggressive nasty. And what's passive-aggressive? Just get angry and shut down. Just get angry and don't talk. Get angry and leave. Get angry and come home late. Get angry and decide not to talk. Get angry and decide not to put gas in the car. Get angry because she didn't do something you asked her to do. Get angry and or when passive aggressive means you don't say nothing and then you go off later on. Passive aggressiveness is to be all nice in front of company, and when the company leaves, all of a sudden you cut up and you argue her down. I'm talking about raising an oppressed son, raising a black son. And so when you become a passive aggressive male, people don't know how to deal with you because you don't know how to talk about your feelings. And because you can't share your feelings and you become mute, because you're afraid to share your feelings, there's a reason. Say there's a reason why I won't talk to her. It used to be a point, man, I wouldn't be vulnerable. Y'all know, if you know of me, you know I got a strong woman, an aggressive woman. And I had to figure out how are we going to dwell in peace because I wasn't going to be no punk. And I wasn't wearing no panties, except on special nights. Oh, that was funny. That was really funny. All right. Say a father's role. If y'all got a Bible, go to Hebrews chapter 12. Hebrews chapter 12. You there?
Yeah, I got the New American Standard Version.
I don't care. It's going to say the same thing. And in fact, it'll help me flow in the spirit. So just read it.
Which one? What verse?
Chapter 12, 7.
7.
We're going to stop at 11. Go.
Okay, it says, endure trials for the sake of discipline.
Endure what you're going through. Not because you just need to get through and you got a plan, but for the sake of what, men? Discipline. Keep going.
God is treating you as children.
Say this. If I didn't have a father.
If I didn't have a father.
That was consistently.
And
lovingly. Disciplining me. Then I am going to feel. Go back and read that scripture again, Ed.
Endure trials for the sake of discipline. God is treating you as children.
Listen, if you didn't have a father to discipline you lovingly, then you ain't going to feel as a child, like a child. And so when God goes to discipline us, it hurts. But he's treating us like a son. When he shuts you down, you can't get pissed. He's treating you like a son. Keep reading, brother.
For what child is there whom a parent does not discipline?
Every time I read this when I gave my life over to the Creator, when I would read that, I would be like, they wrote that because they never expected us as men not to have fathers. Did y'all hear that? Read that again, brother.
For what child is there whom a parent does not discipline?
What child is there that does not receive discipline? Years ago, I asked some people to give me some statements on what a mama's boy was or what a mama's girl. One brother said, I don't believe I'm a mama's boy. He was lying like you would not believe because he couldn't tell his mom the truth. Another one said, my mother would allow me to go back and forth with her in shouting matches. Another one said, my mother would never allow me to speak my mind. She would always shut me down. Another one said, my mother saw when I was overwhelmed and did my work for me when I asked her to let me do it. She took over and wanted the work to represent me, but really her in the best way. So I let her do it. I saw my mother's response to authority. She showed me how to I'll get there when I get there. So I still do that today. This brother was very passive-aggressive and lackadaisical and wouldn't respond to questioning or wouldn't respond to certain things because he became a mama's boy. Now, I'm not blaming moms. Are y'all listening to me? But rightfully so, we have to talk about it because if your mother was stressed, give her grace. I had to tell somebody the other day, this mother never expected to raise this child by herself. She wasn't equipped with that. And so some of her anger and some of her rage is that she doesn't have anyone to talk to. And everybody she knows is going through the same thing. This is why we have been a beacon of hope in the midst of the desert for all the years, because we talk like stuff like this. Because most men ain't going to talk like this because their insecurity is going to want them to think, hey, people going to think he's talking about his mother. See, but I ain't got time to think about it like that. I want you to understand the reason you often respond the way you respond is that you take it on the spirit of your mother and not your father. Keep reading, brother.
If you do not have that discipline in which all children share, then you are illegitimate and not his children.
Keep going.
Moreover, we had human parents to discipline us and we respected them. Should we not be even more willing to be subject to the Father of spirits and live?
Can I stop right there, man, and just tell you, I read that, but it was hard for me to get with that at first. Because there were some places I didn't respect. I love, but I just didn't respect. And God had to say, what you went through, it was perfect. Because you know why I can talk to y'all like this? Because I endured hardship like a good soldier. And I turned that trauma into triumph. Keep reading, brother.
For they discipline us for a short time as seemed best to them. Mm-hmm. But he disciplines us for our good in order that we may share in his holiness.
So that we may what, my friends?
Share in his holiness.
Now let's talk about holiness. What we're talking about is purity. Let me ask you, any of y'all got some business ideas? Any of you got some ideas, some things you'd like to do to prosper? Just say yes.
Yes.
You can do it in the evil, but it's going to cost you. Or you can do it in the purity, and you're going to prosper. And your family going to prosper. And your friends going to prosper. And people around you going to prosper. Because the only way you're going to be able to do it is holy if you want supernatural intervention. Because you're the type of person, when they say God knows my heart, he knows your heart. And I don't care how much somebody says you are this, a liar, a cheat. I accept you. I don't say what you're doing is right. But I'm going to tell you this. You fighting a battle because you didn't have discipline or you missed it. I'm going to stop there. This is not true for most of men and women that I've come across, meaning discipline. Listen, discipline give meaning and manage emotions. If no one shows you discipline, and discipline don't mean beating. Discipline don't mean yelling and shaming them. Discipline don't mean beating them in front of their peers. Discipline don't mean cussing them out. Manage your emotions. As a mom, if your emotions is just all over the place, a man or boy learns it's best to stay out of your presence. Mothers, I told him, remember 80% of his time with women equal helpless and the possibility of a big kid. I was telling the mothers, you keep doing everything for him. You keep controlling him. You keep talking him down. I know you love him, and I know you mean the best for him. But because you have talked a hole in his head with all of your emotions, by the time his lover shows up, he doesn't have strength and honor. I punched holes in walls. I slammed on brakes married. I put my hands on Jill one time. Grabbed her, and we had just been married about 3 years, and pushed her down on the couch like, come on, man. And I wanted her to just shut up. She hit the arm like this and busted her elbow. And little blood came on the couch, and I said, you done become your father. Are y'all hearing me? What you doing, man? What you doing, man? You vowed you never do anything like this. What are you doing? And then you take this on to another person. At age 3 through 5, boys will begin to pull away from their mother. Why? The formulation of their masculine identity. I'll never forget, because I have always watched boys being raised, and I couldn't have any children of my own, so I became very observant of behavior of children and men's children, women's children, and all these different things. And what I learned was that oftentimes a mother, she's so protective that she will formulate his identity where his identity is based on clothes. His identity is based on, they got a new word, fleek or something. He on fleek. He on a fluke. That's what he on. And so it's all about looking good. And then they start coming with metrosexual. And it's all about your appearance. When the hell you going to wake up and be a daggone man? And being a man means being able to tap into your identity that will allow you to make the proper decisions to overcome your own demons. But if you focused on fashion, and I'm not telling you something's wrong with a man who wants to be fashionable, but when your mind is on fashion, that means your mind can also be on passion, meaning games, video games, football games, basketball games. My marriage, we was on our way to divorce, and Wisdom had to ask me, write down every movie that you looked at this year. Write down every television season you watched this year. Now write the movies you watched last year. Write every one you rented. Now go back and look at the time for each one of these movies. And this was before computers. So I had to do the research. By the time I finished, I had added up over 90-some hours of enter-evil-tainment. But then I'm trying to figure out why my life ain't working. Why we can't have a conversation. Because I was trying to escape the voices in my head because it didn't develop. Please say you in there. And the only reason I say that because I want to make sure I'm connecting. Watch that. The very next word is disconnection. When you lose your identity, when you never get your masculine identity, then what will happen is that you will have a disconnection with who you are. Hello? Masculinity doesn't necessarily mean that you're a football player. You can be a dancer and be masculine. Are y'all listening to me? Masculinity, listen. Boys learn by modeling and emulation, the good, the bad, or the ugly. And so if oftentimes we model the anger we watch displayed. Girls have a built-in support system. A man could be sitting at a bus stop crying and people will keep walking, and a woman sitting at a bus stop crying, everybody stop and say, "You okay?" A mother loves her son and she would never knowingly harm him. Yet, it is not she who does the harm. It's her ignorance. Is this making sense, guys? It's not she who does the harm. It's her ignorance. It's her anger. And the day you learn how to forgive her and just say, you know what? You know, the day I learned to forgive my moms, I was in South Africa. And I was reading on trauma. And I recognized that I was acting like a battered woman. And the only way I understood a battered woman because I understood my mom's. And I realized I had the same traits that she had. I had to do business. I did the work. I still have triggers, but I don't let them trigger me. I'm almost there. We're about to do our connection. You can't be angry and raise a happy son. Raising a child by yourself is heart traumatizing. So I ain't blaming none of you sisters. Raising a child by yourself is heart traumatizing because they don't come with instructions. It's a traumatizing truth, which means that the child can become a means of revenge. You look so much like your father. Your masculinity reminds me so much like your dad. And unknowingly, they're aggressive with you. Physical abuse, verbal abuse, mental abuse, you name it. Now, here's the pattern I picked up years ago. This is why we're attracted to a female with unforgiving passion. His ears are drilled for years. Say that. Listen, that equals follow in his father's footsteps. Say that equals follow in his father's footsteps. Get a girlfriend. Get a side piece. Get someone pregnant. Now watch this. Then you end up having a conversation and you know you just can't be having no kid. You know you need to make her a legitimate person. You know you need to do this. Or he may be trying to prove to his mother that he ain't bad. Or he trying to prove to himself that he a man. So he decides, I'm going to marry her. And why is he going to marry her? Because he ain't going to do to his kid what was done to him. Am I right or wrong? But that ain't enough to cause a marriage to last. Because that vow quickly fades after I do and a couple of good hits. That's all I'm going to say. Because he gets married to prove mom for wrong. She's wrong or people wrong, but it's not for love. Or not married. She becomes the object of his hate. The woman he's supposed to love becomes the object of his hate. The kids hate. And then it's a generational curse. Brothers, what we done been through. If you told your story to somebody who didn't come through what you come through, they would say, you need to write a book. ATL, am I right or wrong? Just do like this so I can see you. Am I right or wrong? Yes. You should be, there should say this, a movie should be written out of my life. And we know that's true. Are we lying? By the time, listen, because I've been pastoring for 30 years and I am an advocate of going to get counseling. So I pushed every brother that I worked with and sister that I worked with to get counseling. I kid you not, every last one of them come back and tell me, the counselor be crying in my daggone session saying, oh my God, is that what happened to you? Sometimes they can't believe you telling the truth. Say this, I'm a warrior. Say I'm a warrior. The fact that you sitting up in here taking these instructions means you're a warrior. The fact that you made it out to ATL and you sitting there and you doing it live. Because I want to tell you, it says where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name. Right now, our spirits are feeding off each other. Now, I know some of you couldn't make it, but one day you're going to get to make it here. You're a warrior. I'm going to have to, no, can I keep going, guys? I want to keep going. I want to keep going. Mother, you are setting him up to fail in manhood. If he answers yes to any of these questions, if you answer yes to any of these questions, yes, you are. I said it to the mothers. If you answer yes to any of these questions, I'm realizing I was a bold dude in 2005. To sit there in front of 300 women and have this conversation, and I'm about to do it again. See, my life was taken from me for a long time. I didn't got it back. You can't hold me back. And listen, NSA and all y'all messing with the power and all this stuff, y'all ain't gonna stop me. I'm aware of COINTELPRO. I'll call my friends up on a landline, but we will communicate. And you can play every tape we said because you'll make some money off of our language. Say this, 7 ways to shut him down. I asked her this, do you make him the little man or the man, your little man or the man of the house? Did you have to say, you the man of the house? Come on, you need to be your father didn't show up. You got to be the man of the house. You the little man of the house. A 5-year-old can't comprehend that. A 7-year-old can't comprehend that. A 12-year-old can't comprehend that. A 14-year-old can't comprehend that. Because if he ain't never had a man, then how the hell he gonna be the man of the house? If he ain't never had a man model for him what manhood is, then how the hell he gonna be a man? But you're trying to get him to step up. There's another way to do it. 7 ways to shut him down. I said, he is not a man, he's your child. This puts pressure on them to be men when they're not ready. Number 2, do you play the dating game? It's gotten worse. I went to the store the other day with my wife, and I was in Marshall's. After a while, they don't put chairs for men to sit down there, but the other store she go in, I look for a chair for the man's seat so I can just sit down and wait. Do y'all do the same thing? I look for the man's section so I can just sit down and wait for her to come back. But this time I had to sit on a trash can outside, and this woman came out, and she had a tight leopard skin dress. I don't take the second look. The first look, that's your man. The second look, mean you got a problem, okay? And so I saw it the first time, and then I looked away. But I ain't gonna tell y'all that story. I want to tell you so bad. One time I went into CVS, and it's a gas station across the street. And as I was going to CVS, I saw a woman go into the gas station, and I was like, oh, my God, I said, go in this store, D. And I went to the store. Forgot about her. So I thought. And when I came back out, I looked for her again. And as I was driving, she came out, and it was a dude. I said, God, you got it. You got me. You got me. I always taught you for years. The first look, it just happened. The second look, you got a problem. And when I did, I told a couple, I called him up right at that point and said, I got to confess, man. Here's what just happened to me. I told on myself. Y'all hear me? You ain't got time to be looking at butts and chest and all that. You ain't going to get it. I guess I ain't making sense tonight. Let's keep going. If she is dressing in such a way, it causes your psyche to be devalued, to be disrespected. And what will happen is you will learn several traits: devalue, disrespect, dump, and dismiss. Say it again. Devalue, disrespect, dump, and dismiss. Say it again. Devalue, disrespect, dump, and dismiss. Listen, that's any woman that comes in your presence that challenges you. The reason you hear me saying that my wife is my guru, because I value what she says to me. Even if it's some attitude behind it, I find the truth in it. See to it that no one misses the grace of God, and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many. See that no one is sexually immoral or is godless like Esau. For a single meal sold his inheritance rights as the oldest son. That's Hebrews 12. He said for a single meal, for something physical, he got rid of his inheritance. Now, I laugh and I point, I said, God, you got it. You know why? I need too much from God. For many years, I ain't got time to be looking at nobody. And if y'all ever hear somebody, I hit somebody, you're going to also hear somebody that got killed too. Did y'all hear me? I'm being honest, because she lying. You know why? Because you never say never say never. Say never say never. And so I don't say that. But what I do know is that I've made a conscious decision that I will break this thing that has been in my family. I will break it through the power of God. Not just for the sake of being faithful to her, but faithful to him so that he can bless me. And if you fail, get up. But understand this, sometimes your preparation prepared you for this. And you become a player, a pimp, a buck. Number 3, do you shut him down? Do you put a root on him? This is done by poisoning his perception of his dad. Did you poison him by putting the perception of his dad in a bad light? I just talked to a brother. He found out that his mother would not tell his father what he was going through. Call it parental alienation syndrome. PAS, parent alienation syndrome. When you are in the midst of a divorce and you as a child and you become alienated from your father or your mother because the other one is bad-mouthing you. You bad-mouthing them. You get an alienation and you have a hard time having close relationships your daggone self. God, I thank you for my memory. Even unintentionally, he will revolt against his own mental anguish and becomes rebellious and or criminally minded. If you go through this, you'll revolt because of your anger. You'll become rebellious or criminally minded, which equals higher emotions to block out the pain. Fellas, let me minister to you. When I was caught up in masturbation, and I had to tell him, turn the movies off in the hotel. Because I had read an article one day that they said that more Christian conferences order porno than regular people. When we are trying, listen, in other words, when spiritual people are trying to be spiritual, their flesh is always up under some type of attack. Now that I think about it, here I am coming into this place. I have no idea. The people can see the movies and God bless all y'all that sent those prick pics. You ain't the only one looking at that's all I got to say. There's something out there in the universe, and I had to decide, Deron, you're going to cut this out, man. Because you're trying to escape something. Cut it out. Cut it out. Because the higher the pain, the higher the addiction to block out what you're going through and the need for escape. Not working with his dad punishes the child, not the father. Not cooperating. I told the mothers, when you don't cooperate with the dad, you ain't punishing the dad, you punishing the child. Because the child has no idea that the dad wants to be connected to him. But you upset. But you upset. Somebody told me to say it again, so I just said it again. We're almost there, my friends. When your son gets punished, because let me tell you what my wife did for Talita. Talita's father was just out there. God bless his soul during that time. And he owed child support. I don't think a check ever came in as long as we've been married. But we have been married for about 4 years. And she released him. 4 to 5 years. It was 4 or 5 years. She released him from paying child support. And she called him, she called the people, whatever they did, and she said, listen, tell him don't worry about it now. And he was in the arrears. She released him. You know why she did it? She said, I don't need to hold all this tension in me. God is blessing me. We're going to make it, and I'm going to make it. By her doing that forgiveness, mother, we got to have a relationship because I didn't get to see her have to fight every month. Because that happened for a couple of months and with some other things. And I said, I ain't got time to be trying to fight no brothers. She let him off the hook. You shut him down when you make him your girlfriend. And you share with him stuff you ain't got no business sharing with him. And then all of a sudden, his psyche is that of someone who's thinking not from testosterone, but from estrogen. But he thinks he's a man. My friends, that's what I share with you this evening. October 17th, 2005. You're either going to have a riot mentality or a revolutionary mentality. If you want a riot mentality, then don't deal with your stronghold. If you want a revolutionary mentality, which is a championship mentality, then you got to allow your stronghold to be knocked out. Revolutionary mentality is study-oriented. The opposite of that revolutionary mentality is the riot mentality, entertainment-oriented. Those who riot are the ones who are also caught up in entertainment-oriented. The revolutionary mentality is self-reliant, won't live off of nobody, gonna get it done no matter what. The riot mentality is the welfare or work every now and then mentality. The revolutionary mentality is diligent. The riot mentality is only organized for other people. The revolutionary mentality is conscious of others. If you grow up as an oppressed son, you think about three: mine, me, and I. Revolutionary mentality, you're frugal and you save. Riot mentality, you keep buying everything because you got to have things to make you feel like you are paid or better. Revolutionary mentality, you don't mind somebody telling you what to do because you understand he who hates correction is stupid. And you should be able to take instructions from a woman. The riot mentality follows instructions, doesn't follow instructions. Revolution mentality can give and follow instructions. I'll take that back. Riot mentality can give instructions but can't follow them. May God bless whatever was just shared. I have no idea, honestly. I just hope that it was blessed for you guys to hear it. My brothers in ATL and my brothers and sisters who are watching, my brothers who are here. And fellas, I pray that this blessed you in some way. My birthday is on August the 1st. Just be prepared to hear me say I may just do something. I told somebody I want to change my memory of my birthday. And if that just means I invite somebody to a little small restaurant or something and just come share in some love, I want a different memory. And pray for me. And when I ask that, I mean that. Pray for me. And why do I ask that, my friend? Just pray for the brother. We're going to connect. God bless you all. I love you and I beat you to it. God bless everyone. Ed, if you're going to come down and close us out, we getting ready to connect. And we're going to take some rest, man. Hey, ATL, I love you, man. I love you. I love you. God bless you.